This TV gets so much right for so many people. Can I recommend it though? Welcome back everyone, I'm Caleb Dennison here with a review of the Roku Pro Series TV. And I'll tell you right now, there is a lot to like about this TV. I have some reservations recommending it in some cases. So if you want to find out if the Roku Pro Series is the right buy for you, stick around, I'm gonna get you there. So first, a little context. The Roku Pro Series, which comes in 55, 65, and 75-inch options, is a 4K 120Hz QLED TV, and it's the best TV that Roku makes. Now, if you've come here thinking, weird, I didn't know Roku made its own brand of TVs. When did that happen? Well, the answer is Roku, after licensing its operating system to the likes of TCL and Hisense and others for years, decided in 2023 that it would go into competition with its partners and produce TVs under its own name. And Roku has the chops. I mean, the Roku platform isn't just for streaming Netflix and such. It's key to driving the processing that makes the TV look the way it does. I just always thought it odd that Roku would go into competition with its partners. Anyway, speaking of competition, the Roku Pro Series with its mini LED backlight system, full array local dimming, Roku's best processing, a premium audio system, and other premium touches, goes head to head, in terms of price anyway, with TCL's QM7 and Hisense's, well, it's priced somewhere between the Hisense U7N and U8N. So I think the right move here is to take a look at everything this TV offers. The user experience, the audio system, available accessories, and of course, picture quality, and see how it competes with similarly priced TVs. I feel like TCL and Hisense have set the bar for what you can expect at this price. And if you're looking at this Roku Pro Series TV, you should be looking at those other models as well. Of course, could be that this TV punches above its price too, so we'll see. Now, let's get into it. We live in a bezel-free world these days, and that's what Roku delivers with its Pro Series TV. The TV is not exceptionally thin, but it is uniform, so it slaps right up against the wall, no gaps. And I'm personally okay if the cabinet's a little deep, if the space is used to house and operate a killer backlight system. We want brightness, power, and control. Roku also gets bonus points from me for these feet. Normally you take the feet and you slide them in, and then you have to put 4 screws, 2 in each foot, to get it secured to the TV. But this TV comes with these compression style screws and dials that make it very easy to get them put in and set up. The screen has a solid anti-glare finish, but it's nothing like remarkable. I put this TV next to the Bravia 9, and it does reflect a little bit more. Of course, there's no rainbow effect either. On the whole, it's about what I expect for the price. Now, this remote. Look past the novelty of the shape if you can, because it is otherwise ticking all the essential boxes. It is backlit, instant win. It has a remote finder speaker, another win. It's a voice remote with an onboard switch. Okay, I'll take it. Volume and mute buttons on the side, fine. Streaming services you'll actually use in the hotkey spot, I'm with it. And this quick launch button is programmable, so you can put shortcuts here. I really, really dig that feature. Sounds like a little thing now, but I swear you're gonna fall in love with it. The remote, which is how you interface with your TV every single day, it's a win, and that carries some weight with me. Now, the Roku operating system, which is what you deal with when you're not watching content. Look, I'd love to see Roku give this a serious facelift, but those who use Roku will find it familiar, and those who haven't used Roku yet will find it very easy to learn. I mean, Roku gets great versions of all of the popular apps. They're a huge streaming platform, so they get the good stuff from app developers. That's important. But then again, the same is also true for Google TV, which the competition is using. Another thing is that the Roku OS is loaded with all kinds of actually usable extras. like a screen reader mode for the visually impaired with lots of controls for the reading system. It's got easy to use parental controls, a guest mode that allows you to let guests, maybe you've got an Airbnb or a guest room, right? It lets guests access apps and their accounts with the assurance that they'll automatically be logged out while your account remains off limits. Now, will you see ads on this platform? Absolutely. I'd say it is medium to medium-low invasive on the ad spectrum. Definitely not the worst when it comes to ads. For inputs, there are 4 HDMI ports. 2 are HDMI 2.1, and you will be pleased to know the eARC port is separate from those next-gen HDMI ports. This TV does have an auto game mode with some gaming-friendly features, including VRR and ALLM with FreeSync Premium Pro certification. And I mean, it's an otherwise freaking well-rounded TV that I think a lot of folks are gonna love using day to day, and that already counts for a whole lot. So now let's talk about how it sounds and what kind of picture quality we're working with. Let me just get right out and say it. The sound quality on this TV is phenomenal for the price. I'd put it right up against the Sony Bravia 9, a TV that costs way, way more money. I gotta be honest with you, I did not see this coming. I think Roku made a great sounding speaker in its stream bar. I was less enthused with the wireless Roku speakers when I tried those out, but they were totally decent. This TV's audio system though, top tier. It's got weight and punch for a TV, and actually, when I had it sitting on the floor here, I could feel the bass through the floor, and I have concrete floors under this rug here, folks. The stereo separation is clearly audible and kind of impressive, again, for a TV, and it doesn't try to fake surround sound so hard that it screws things up for dialogue clarity. Voices are always clear. Now, I've seen other reviews that either don't make a big deal out of the audio system or straight up slander it. I don't get it. It is objectively good. I mean, if you get this TV, you'll see. And then come back here and tell me in the comments what you think. I want to hear from you. Oh, and before we move on to picture quality, I should mention that you can add wireless Roku speakers and a wireless Roku sub to this TV. No added equipment needed. The TV will control and send signal to those speakers without a separate box. Now I'm about to move into picture quality here, and as part of that, I like to do a segment I call Numbers for Nit Nerds. Now this section gets pretty into the weeds on measurements and such, so if you'd rather skip ahead to my take on the picture quality, we've got timecode links down in the description. So Nit Nerds, listen, I'm gonna break things down pretty simply here because there are really only 2, maybe 3 takeaways coming from the measurement results on this TV. First, for those of you who don't know, or maybe just need a reminder, the way Roku sets up its user controls, you get this sort of shortcut of darker to brighter. This is available for both SDR and HDR picture modes. What this appears to do is raise the average picture level and the peak brightness capabilities. But interestingly, there's no impact to the backlight setting in the expert settings menu. This means that you can get a pretty broad range of control of the TV's brightness. So in SDR movie mode, I got peak brightness readings that ranged from 100 nits on the low end up to about 750 nits on the high end. That's by adjusting this darker to brighter setting and then just leaving the backlight setting alone. Normal, which is the default setting out of the box, puts the SDR brightness average at 300 nits. In HDR, the brightest measurement I got, that's the brighter setting, with the backlight and brightness sliders maxed out by default in HDR, that's how it always is, was about 1600 nits. At the normal setting, it was closer to 1400. The takeaway is that the TV can get very bright, on par, I suspect, with the QM7 from TCL, though that remains to be proven. The bottom line is the TV is as bright as I would expect for the money. Now, as for the rest of the measurements, in the default SDR movie and dark HDR modes, which have the most accurate color temperature, all of the grayscale and color measurements were very poor, as you can see in these charts. Across the board, just really bad results on the charts. However, and this is an extremely important distinction, the reason that these measurements look so bad is due to just one thing: over-brightening. See, the color coordinates are correct. Like, forest green reads as forest green. It's not like forest green reads as emerald green. And it doesn't look that way either. The reason that the color measurements are so bad here is because they are far brighter than they should be. And it's the same for the grayscale. The RGB balance is not atrocious, though it is too warm in most cases. No, the really bad errors here are because it's brighter than it should be. Now, I don't have a problem here if Roku's intent was to just make a very bright TV. I think that's what the overwhelming majority of consumers want to see. They like it like that, and I'm not here to say they shouldn't have what they want, but it's called the Pro Series, and my personal preference would be for those picture modes that are intended to be more accurate to actually be more accurate. Overbrighten the picture in standard mode, I don't care, just maybe leave the movie mode alone. But look, overall, I don't really have a problem with any of this, as you'll soon hear when I get out of this Nit Nerds enthusiast section. What I do have a problem with, though, is an issue I have seen before in some competing TVs. Look what happens to the measurements when I turn off local dimming. They snap right into focus, and not by just a little bit. Like, these are stellar color accuracy and color gamut measurements for a TV at this price. Why should having local dimming necessarily mean the TV just spins out of control? It does not have to be this way, and I would argue it should never be this way. I mean, I'm supposed to choose between having blooming and halo effect and grayish blacks that impact contrast and some semblance of accuracy? No, there's no need for that. Turning on local dimming should not mean that the TV measures like poo. That's just not a thing that needs to be happening. And I say this because there are plenty of other TVs that manage to maintain coherency with local dimming turned on and even maxed out. So here's the deal, folks. This is a bright TV, technically an overbright TV. It doesn't measure well, but as you'll soon hear, that doesn't mean it looks bad. Quite the opposite, as a matter of fact. But if you were hoping that this could be a good enthusiast TV on a budget, it's not that. I would suggest getting a TCL or a Hisense if that's what you're after, and you can always slap a Roku stick or streaming box on it if you really want that Roku experience. Okay guys, so if you've skipped ahead or just joined us for this picture quality section, here's the deal with this Roku Pro Series TV. It is delightfully bright. Technically, it overbrightens everything, but that's a look that most folks love, so I have no problem with it. And because the TV does a great job at maintaining good black levels, the TV has really impressive contrast too. That combo means this TV is gonna, again, be a delight to watch in terms of brightness, contrast, and color. Most folks will love what this TV is doing in those areas. Now, oddly enough, the test patterns that I used suggest the TV is not great at upscaling, but the real world content that I watched tells me it does a pretty great job in the ways that matter to most folks. Like, I watched a lot of Chips, this old TV show made in the late 70s and early 80s, pretty low resolution stuff, and it looks super clean on this TV. Almost all of the old TV shows I watched looked good. Lower quality YouTube content looked really solid as well. Now, I don't have cable here, but I'm pretty sure cable or satellite TV is gonna look great on this TV too. But there are a few areas where this TV's processing falls short. One is that the backlight is a little sluggish. It takes a second to ramp up to full brightness or dim down. This isn't something that you'll notice often, but when the TV has to act fast because the scene is challenging or, you're just turning it on, you might notice it. Also, it has trouble resolving super fine lines of detail. Take a look at the jacket this actor is wearing in Amazon Prime's Reacher series. That sort of swirling, flashing effect is called moire, and it's a sign of a processor that's kind of struggling to resolve complicated detail. I also noticed that it sometimes had trouble dealing with color gradients. Like, when you have large areas of subtle color changes, especially in low bit depth content like what you'll get off of free TV streaming services or YouTube, you can see the colors kind of shift around as the processor is trying to land on a final decision. Those issues that I just mentioned though A lot of that is the kind of thing that I'm gonna notice, but my buddy is not gonna notice at all, which leads me to this. Based on this TV's everyday user experience, the audio quality, the bright, punchy look, along with the fact that everyday TV sources like cable, satellite, and free streaming TV don't look trashy like they can on less expensive TVs, I will 100% recommend this TV to most of my friends. I can see this TV just thrilling the pants off of them. This is a great premium TV for folks who just don't want to spend a boatload of cash on an ultra premium TV. It packs in so many real-life performance upgrades that I can recommend it with confidence to a massive audience of people. But there's a catch, the one I alluded to at the intro of this video. I just can't ignore that there have been some pretty troubling Roku headlines in the news lately. There was a very big data breach that you may have read about. Then there's the fact that it took Roku way too long to fold in two-factor authentication. Then there was the weird, you have to mail in your receipt to opt out debacle that just makes no sense to me at all. And most recently, a software and firmware update that forced motion smoothing on for many users. I mean, tech companies have troubles from time to time, I get it, but I would feel totally unimpeded in my recommendation of this TV if I had a little more faith in some of Roku's more important user-facing decision-making. Now, this may change in time if things stabilize, but as of now, I'll make the recommendation on this TV with a caveat. I'd rather be making recommendations as caveat-free as possible, you know? So here's the deal. If you're a TV enthusiast on a budget, pass on the Roku TV. Get a TCL or Hisense. If you're having trouble deciding between the Pro Series and the Plus Series, I definitely urge you to get the Pro Series, the better TV. It is so much better than the Plus Series I tested, and absolutely worth the extra money if you can afford it. In the end, the Roku Pro Series is a study in what happens when you put what people want and need at the forefront of your design philosophy. That's something that Roku has always been pretty good at. While it came out later than Roku's lower-end models, this is still a first-gen TV. Keep that in mind. And considering how much they got right with the Pro Series their first time out, I am stoked to see what Gen 2 looks like. I think if Roku implements some of my suggestions for the next version of this TV, they may put the screws to TCL and Hisense among the enthusiast crowd too. For now though, the Roku Pro Series, I think it's gonna be a favorite among the average TV buyer. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. What do you think about this TV? Let me know down in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you on the next one, and until then, here's 2 other videos I think you might like. Your balcony and just sat on it, you know?